Before I get started in the opening of this video, I want you to take the title of this article with a grain of salt. Rings of Power star confirms season 3 time jump. I'm not even going to focus on the other thing of this article title. I just want to talk about the fact that you're boldly proclaiming that someone would be considered a star when they've been a part of the Rings of Power, and in reality, if you're part of Rings of Power, you're about the furthest thing from a star. You're desperate beyond desperate. This is a horrible show. Anyone associated with it should be ashamed of themselves. Nevertheless, let's get into the article. All right. Ever since Prime Video's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power ended last fall. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a stupid article. Okay. Ever since Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings Rings of Power ended last fall and the series has renewed for a third season, fans have been eager for any update on when we can expect a return to Middle-earth, or really just any idea of what we can expect once the hit series does return. Hit series is a strong term. It's not a hit series. In fact, it's lost 60% of its viewership in the first season after the first 2 episodes of the first season, and its viewership has only declined since then. So it's not a hit series. It's only a smashing success in the sense that it has rallied the majority of fans against it. And when I say the majority of fans, I mean people who actually cared about Lord of the Rings and not the weird ones who were on Reddit or Twitter who said, "Oh my goodness gracious, look at how gay everything is," because that's not real fandom. That's just a bunch of people who have weird ships and they hate actual good storytelling, as is evident by the fact that they like this show. Okay, nevertheless, let's get back into it. While those involved in this series have been understandably tight-lipped when it comes to details, one of the stars just confirmed a key detail about the upcoming season. While speaking to Collider's Steve Weintraub at the SXSW for her upcoming film The Accountant 2, Cynthia Adai Robinson, who plays Miriel, the former queen of Numenor, which she wasn't actually a queen in the books. She was just kind of a regent. Nevertheless, confirmed that there will be a time jump in the third season. All right, here's the quote here. "If someone has information for me, I'd be asking the same thing. I can't tease much. I'm excited to get back to season 3. There's a time jump. I know that's been publicly said with how we left off in season 2. When we return in season 3, we're going to be moving forward. That's all I know. I don't know much else, but I'm definitely excited to return to Middle-earth. It's obviously this weird shift to go from that to this, a contemporary story back to that. But yeah, I'll be excited to go back and see what they're up to over there." So here's the main problem that you're going to have with this whole attempt at time jumping forward is that you've already squeezed about 1,000 years worth of storytelling into what seems like about the time frame of a week. Into a story that has had absolutely no correlation with the original writings of the Silmarillion or the appendices, as described by Tolkien himself, and have completely desecrated the lore that has set up everything in the first place, and has consistently made a mockery of the original storytelling that Tolkien himself had made. So no. Time jumping forward isn't going to do any favors for this. Time jumping forward is only going to cause more problems because now you're going to have to wonder what amount of time is going to be jumped forward. How far into the future is this time jump going to take us? And why is it that the 1,000 years worth of storytelling is suddenly just being cast to the wayside and used willy-nilly whenever they want? Oh yeah, it's because they don't care about the story. So why do a time jump at all when you haven't done one yet and you've covered 1,000 years worth of information over the course of a week and you've already ruined everything else associated with it? It's a pointless attempt at moving on and getting further down the line. And it's going to be like, oh, see, Galadriel, she always used to be a warrior queen, and now she's this wonderful, innocent person. She had to learn how to be this brutal fighter in order to learn how to be peaceful and loving. No, don't ever say that again. That's quite possibly one of the most retarded things you could ever let come out of your mouth. If you actually believe that, you've not read the story of Tolkien, and you hate his writings, because you don't change something unless you think it's a problem that needs to be fixed. Now, Tolkien may have thought of something way later on down the line had he lived longer than he did. However, he did not, and the stories which he has set in stone in regards to the fiction that he has written is what is considered canon. So changing it is to spit on his grave. Honestly, though, I'm sure that at this point in time, with how much they've desecrated his lore and desecrated his story, he's spinning around in his grave like a perpetual motion machine. And we could probably use the energy flowing off of his corpse right now to at least power the majority of London. Not that that would need any power because they don't even have air conditioning over there. What a silly country. Nevertheless, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Rings of Power, as you can tell. I think that their attempt at jumping forward in the timeline so that they can get from point A to point B is just a poor excuse at getting past some of the really bad writing decisions and making it some way more correlative to what the actual books have to say about the story that they're adapting. But they're going to fail at it again, because let's be honest, they don't have the skill to adapt it. If they did, they would have done so properly in the first 2 seasons, and they couldn't do it then. Not to mention the fact that they're taking about 2 years in between each season to put out a season, so if their contract for 5 seasons hold, by the time that they finally finish with their 5-season dumpster fire, it'll be 10 years long of a really crappy, cruddy, stupid story that has done nothing but tarnish the legacy of J.R.R. Tolkien and his writings and his lore. And if this was the only thing you had to go off of for him, you would never think that anything he did was worthwhile. And that is a mockery to the things that he built his life up on in regards to the fictional stories that he made. And you, Amazon, the creators of this show, should be ashamed of yourselves. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you have a great day and a great rest of the week.